to you a number of times about the way you've avoided interceptions and the costly mistakes. Indiana's jumped on a bunch of those through the first 4 weeks. What's the challenge for you against this secondary on Saturday?
I think they've been getting so many interceptions, not only because of their secondary, because of what blitzes they bring. So I think, our job on offense is just to pick up every blitz and, just execute on offense, throw and catch the ball. So what I've seen on film, they blitz and the quarterback doesn't know where it's coming from, and the quarterback gets rattled in the pocket, and he ends up making a bad decision or making an errant throw. So that's going to be the tough part this week, is just, picking up their blitzes and, and if we do that, I feel like we'll be pretty successful on the field throwing the ball.
Thanks, Justin.
Yep.
Okay, we'll go next to Dave Biddle from 247. Dave?
Thanks, Mike. Hi, Justin. Indiana has the same defensive coordinator that they did last year. Obviously, Tom Allen, their head coach, is a defensive guy. They seem to be a better defense this year. Are they doing anything differently, or are they just a year older and a year better?
They have a lot of great athletes on defense. Of course, they have a great coach and their head coach, Tom Allen. But, I mean, they do a little bit of things differently. I think they probably added some stuff. But, like I said before, they have great athletes and a great coaching staff. So it's no surprise that they're having such a great year.
Thank you.
All righty, go next to Tim May from Letterman Row. Tim?
Thank you very much, Mike. Hey, Justin, as you watch these guys on video, is there a rhyme or reason to how they blitz? Are you picking up tells as this goes on? Because they kind of seem to come from all angles at times. Just how would you describe their blitz package?
Yeah, they bring so many different blitzes. So, I mean, it's hard to tell. They do a great job disguising it. But like I said before, we just have to do a good job picking up those blitzes. But, they do bring a lot of blitzes from, all areas of the field. So we just got to be looking out for it.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
All righty, we'll go next to Tony Gerdeman, Buckeye Scoop. Tony?
Justin, you may have been answering this with each question, but what does Indiana do better than maybe anybody you guys have seen this year so far on defense?
What do they do better? I mean, they must be doing something better. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I mean, I think they look better as an overall defense. Like I said before, they have great athletes in the secondary. They play a lot of people in the secondary, so we've been getting ready for those guys for a good bit now. So we should be ready. But I wouldn't necessarily say they just do one thing better than another defense does. They probably do a little bit of stuff differently on defense, which might work out. So their scheme might be better than other defenses, but I don't know like a particular thing that they do better than other defenses that we play.
Is this the best defense you'll play this year so far?
I'm not sure because I haven't watched film on the other defenses that we play later in the year, but I think it's definitely one of the best defenses we'll play all year.
Thank you.
All righty, we'll go next to Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch. Bill?
Hey, Justin, obviously you have a lot of confidence in Garrett and Chris. So they have 42 receptions. No other wide receiver has more than 5. Is that just a product of how good those two are, or is there something that you're still kind of trying to find a comfort level with the other receivers?
No, I feel like I'm comfortable with all the receivers. I mean, we've been working ever since our season got canceled. So not only Chris and Garrett, I feel comfortable with all my receivers. I feel like we're all on the same page. They're all great receivers. Or they wouldn't be at Ohio State, but it's not necessarily a hit on other receivers that I'm not on the same page. Then the ball just ends up in Chris and Garrett's hands more. So I mean, it is what it is, and the other receivers know that. And our job this year is just to do our job and not really worry about who's getting the ball more so on the plays. And all we want to accomplish this year is just to win each and every game. So it's a team thing. So we're not trying to really look at individual stats and stuff like that.
Of the other guys, are there one or two that you really are finding a comfort zone with, that you really feel confident with?
Like I said before, I feel comfortable with all of our receivers. There's not really that I feel more or less comfortable with. I think all of them are great receivers, great athletes, great people. So I just feel comfortable with all the guys.
All right. Thanks, Justin.
Mm-hmm.
All righty, we'll go next to Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com. Nathan?
Hey, Justin, we were talking yesterday to Josh Myers about the offensive line play right now, and he said that he felt there's some ways where they're still adapting in terms of their communication with each other. How much do you also play into that, and where do you feel like your cohesiveness is with the offensive line halfway through the season?
The only time I communicate with the O-line is, pre-snap, getting the ID. But I think Josh is talking about more in, bumping things off and, kind of communication within the line during the play. I think that's more so of what he was talking about. But yeah, I mean, my part in communicating with the O-line is just before the play, I ID a linebacker. Sometimes Josh does it. Sometimes I do it. If I see something, that might trump his call or whatever like that. But yeah, I think those guys will, fix any problems they have. They're hard workers. They have a great coach and Coach Studs. So yeah, those guys should fix that in no time.
All righty, go next to Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch. Joey.
Justin, through your both seasons at Ohio State, you've been really good at not throwing interceptions. You only threw 3 last year, and you haven't thrown a pick this year. What's been the key for you in that area and limiting turnovers and not throwing picks? Is that a focus for you? Why do you think that's why you've been so good in that area?
I mean, I've always looked at the quarterback position in pretty simple in terms of not throwing interceptions, and that's just not throwing the ball to the other team, So, of course, it sounds easier than it is playing the game, but, I mean, that just comes with reps, knowing where your guys are going to be, trusting in your teammates and doing that stuff. So I feel like all of that goes into, making my decisions and having success on the field.
And you talked earlier about Indiana's defense, the way they blitz and bring pressure, and obviously that can cause turnovers. Do you see anything from their secondary that's allowed them to cause takeaways and create picks? Because I think they lead the conference in that department.
No, not really. Like I said before, they have great players. They do a lot on defense. But like I said before, those turnovers I think came off of pressures that the quarterbacks maybe panicked in the pocket and made a poor decision, and that's what they came up with a takeaway. So that's what my job is to not panic and stay calm in the pocket and deliver footballs to my receivers. So I mean, it's pretty simple.
Thanks.
We'll go next to Patrick Murphy, 247. Patrick.
Justin, given the lack of non-conference games, you didn't get Oregon, the way the season's played out, this could be your only top 10 game. Do you look forward to these opportunities when the whole country's kind of watching when you're in 3 versus 9 type of situations?
I mean, we look forward to every opportunity because, I mean, last week our whole game got canceled. So we know that every game isn't promised and, we have to take one game at a time. So I think, since we're in this situation or a pandemic or whatever, I think our team is taking, each game one at a time, and we're cherishing each and every game because we know that it could be our last. So we're not taking any game lightly, and we're going to try and play every game like it's our last game.
Are you surprised at all that a top 10 game is coming against Indiana as opposed to maybe a Penn State or a Michigan?
No, not really. I think Indiana's a good team. I think a lot of people were sleeping on them at the beginning of the year, but they've clearly shown that they can compete. They are a good team, and they have great coaching, so it's not really a surprise.
All righty, we'll go next to Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated. Brendan.
Justin, obviously with last week's game being canceled, you've only played 3, but of the 8 regular season games, I guess this kind of marks the unofficial start to the second half of the season. Take the stats out of it for a second if you can, and just try to evaluate for me how you look at your performance so far and what you think you've done well, what you think you still need to work
on. I think I can improve in, all aspects of the game. I'm not going to point them out, of course, but I think I still have a lot of room to improve, and, I'm just going to try to get better each and every day. But I think I've done a good job, taking what the defense gives me and making smart decisions and, keeping our offense on schedule. So that's my job, and my job is to execute each and every play to the best of my ability. And that's what I'm going to go try out there and do. So I feel like I've done a good job at those things.
When we were in the summertime and the season got postponed and there was obviously a lot going on, right? Then the season comes back and everybody's trying to digest what they think this is going to look like, whether the season's going to go off without a hitch, how these games are going to be played, all of the stuff that goes on here. Has anything surprised you or caught you off guard about how you've had to prepare, different things you've had to do as a team or individually? Just has anything surprised you about this whole process?
No, I think, throughout this whole process, the one thing that I've learned is you're going to get surprises. So it's the way you react to them. It's the way you deal with those surprises. Just like last week, take last week for an example, it was like 20 minutes before we were about to go out and practice, and we just had found out that our game got canceled. So I think our team is used to, changes, and I think our job, our job, like with those changes, is just to react the best way and to control what we can control at the end of the day.
All right, we got time for two more. We'll go to Tim Hall from 97.1. Tim. We'll go to Stephen Means, Cleveland.com. Stephen.
Hey, Justin, you're talking about how Indiana sends a lot of blitzes from a lot of different places, and you've played a decent amount of football as a starter at this point. Have you started at all to see maybe a repeat of some of just similar things and similar and different opponents that you've played, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think a lot of our opponents play the same coverages. So, I mean, there's, so many coverages a defense can put in a game plan. So there's definitely similarities between teams and the types of blitzes, we see, especially, in a recent game, if a team has been successful on that blitz, another team in the future might try to run that same blitz. But, yeah, I think we see a lot of similarities with teams and the way they run their defense and, the blitzes they bring. So it's our job to, bring up the pass and how we did it in the past and just, really improve from that and see what we need to learn on and improve
so
on.
To that, so kind of to that, when you watch Indiana on film, is there a game or a team that they kind of remind you of defensively?
No, not really.
Just the scheme.
Yeah, their scheme is definitely different from, the teams we've played this year. I think they blitz a lot more. I think they might run a few more coverages, but not really. But I think they just do a great job with disguising their pressures and disguising who's coming. So I think that's going to be the big challenge this week.
Thanks.
All right, and one last question. Go to Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row. Spencer.
Justin, everybody's been talking about Indiana bringing a lot of blitzes and doing different things on defense. And last year, you guys in those situations like to use JK in the pass game. Would you like to see Master and Trey get a little more involved in the pass game out of the backfield?
I like to do whatever Coach Day thinks we should do to win the game. I mean, I'm not going to tell Coach Day how to run his offense, I think he's been doing this long enough to, know what we need to do on offense to be successful. So that's my job, is to listen to him and take all I can from him and to execute, the play calling to the best of my ability. So that's my job.
So we saw Master a little bit in the last game, and obviously Trey's experience at Oklahoma catching the ball out of the backfield. You're confident that those guys can do those kind of things, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we've been working on it, since we've been practicing. So I'm not really sure why they haven't been involved in the passing game. I think that's a question for Coach Day, but they have been involved a little bit. But maybe he's saving something up his sleeve for later in the season. Who knows? But yeah. So I'm not really worried about that, though. I'm just worried about competing and winning each and every game. That's my main focus.
All right, Justin,